Hi everyone, welcome to the Swatchosaurus YouTube channel. I'm Abby, I use they them pronouns, and I am coming to you from Chicago, Illinois, where I live and craft to my heart's content. Today we have a lot to do. We're talking about sort of the wrap up of Tour de Fleece so that I can finally show you my finished yarn. We have to talk patterns that I'm going to make with this yarn because I need feedback. We're going to talk about some of the other things I've been doing since the end of Tour de Fleece / sort of during Tour de Fleece when I just needed some knitting. We've got, a whole bunch of updates for you. So settle in, folks. We've got a lot to do and we're going to get it done. But first, a quick shout out to my partner Cam, who made me this lovely yarn wall for my birthday. It's really nice to have this like cozy little nook now that can display some of my yarn that just makes me happy to see it. I was able to put it on a wall that doesn't get any direct sunlight, so that'll keep it like a little extra safe, but also like my hope is that I'm using this fast enough to be able to like get through it quickly. And so that it's not in the sun or in the light for too long, but also like, it's fine. Look, it's fine. It just is. Okay, so first things first, let's get you caught up on how the rest of Tour de Fleece went. I've got some little clippies for you to enjoy. So I'll meet you back here. All right, y'all, so we are now at the end of spinning all of the body yarn for the sweater. And at the end of everything, we have 5 bobbins of leftovers somehow. But okay, I have a plan. So what it looks like is some magical way has happened where this bobbin, and this bobbin all ended on sunnies and floats, which means I'm going to chain ply them. It will be a really teeny tiny chain ply, but I think it'll look sick. And it doesn't need to go into the final sweater. Like, I'm okay with that. I'll start with these 2 and then see how I'm feeling, because this bobbin and this bobbin, I'll probably just 2-ply, and it can be kind of on standby for if I need a little bit more yarn in the sweater for some reason, or just as a little like skein to hang up on the wall as like a little reminder, or maybe that's what I'll make my swatch out of to see like what's going on with the yarn after it's set. We've got options, people. And then, you know, if I start with these two and I'm like, that's enough chain plying of sunnies and floats for me, I want to make sure that this bobbin gets into the final yarn, then I'll do that. And then it'll just be a 2-ply between these 3 bobbins, and I'll make like a plying bracelet and whatever for all of that. So I don't know. These are my thoughts. That's what I'm going with. Behold, the finished yarn. I don't have a good way to hold it. It's 5 skeins, one of which I bravely caked up. I was feeling, okay, so I finished all of these, and then I was like, no, I can't cake one up because I don't want to disrupt the set. They're my children. And so I definitely like, people were like, oh, have you already like started the sweater that you made out of your yarn? And I was like, no, because I can't break up the set. My children. And so, okay, so then like, and also I think it was good for me to be able to like treat these as a finished object. I'm just holding the skeins now. I don't want to hold the caked one. Because like, if I don't stop myself and let it rest, like if I had just rolled right into casting on a project or starting to, you know, skein and look for things, not skein, knit a swatch and look for patterns, I don't think my brain would have really like rested and appreciated the fact that like I spun all this yarn. Let me give you a close up. This is sleeve skein number 1. And you can see like it is very pink. It came out very, very pink overall. That's definitely like the driving through line. This is body skein number 3. I love body skein number 3. I'm a big fan of body skein number 3. I know that that's like so weird. They're all so the same but different. But I really like this one. And so like, if I had just immediately been like, okay, whatever, I think it would have drilled into my brain that like the sweater is the goal and that any steps along the way are just like small milestones towards the goal versus like, I'm going to rest. I'm going to let these be how they need to be for a minute. They need to be skeins right now because that's a big accomplishment. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense to you because it makes sense to me of just like, this is the finished object. This is an accomplishment. I don't need to keep pace and keep running this metaphorical race, right? Like, oh, okay, this is sleeve skein number 2. I also really like this one. Okay, truth be told, I like all of them. But it's just so cool to see how the colors combine differently in different skeins, you know? Like, look at that. And like, that pink is so vibrant on camera, and it's not vibrant in real life, but I think it melds a little bit better. I'm so excited to see all of these worked up more. Okay, let me tell you some brief stats on this yarn so that we can talk. First of all, celebrate my accomplishment for Tour de Fleece. And then second of all, we got to talk projects. Okay. And so then, yeah, just this weekend, I very bravely selected a skein. This is body skein number 2. Because I was like, I can't do the first one because body skein number 1 is 173 grams. So I was like, so no, I'm not gonna choose that one right now. Because, and we'll talk about this in a second, I'm thinking about knitting a cardigan And when thinking about the typical construction of a lot of cardigans, I was like, I don't want to just be using this skein for the top of the cardigan. I don't know. It was a whole thing. And at the time, my brain was like, yes, this is logic. We have to make a decision in which skein to select to cake up. Otherwise, the universe might implode on itself. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So I caked this up, and look at how beautiful it looks in the cake. So fun. And it was so fun to wind this. I didn't take any footage of me winding it because I was like, I just gotta get this done. I said, we're gonna talk stats, and then I'm still showing you the yarn, but I think you're fine. Everyone is okay. And it was cool because you could see the like color transitions coming through of like, oh, now it's a little bit pink, and then it's really pink, and it's pink all over. And then, okay, it gets a little blue, and then it's blue all over. And that was really fun to watch. So I'm really excited to see how like this all ends up. Okay, now, truth be told, we're going to talk stats. So each of my skeins has a tag with their individual stats on it, but I wanted to give you, this is my control card and my Tour de Fleece like whole thing. So you can see it says on there, this is 644 grams of 2,077.5 meters of mostly like sport weight yarn. It's not consistent throughout. There are definitely some thicker parts and some thinner parts that might move it into a DK or into a fingering weight for that particular section. But by and large, it's a sport weight yarn. And I'm just so proud of myself. And I feel like I've learned a lot about what I like to spin. Because if this had all been one single color, I think I said this in the last video, like it would still be on the spinner, like no doubt in my mind that it would still be on my wheel, lingering, languishing. Look how big this one is. Yeah, the biggest one that I have is 173 grams. And that was at the point, I think I mentioned this in my last video, where I was like, in my brain, if it can all fit on one bobbin, that's great. And so you shove as much onto one bobbin as you can, and then shove as much onto another bobbin as you can without thinking about the fact that when you ply them together, they then will not fit on the bobbin. But I worked it out. We persevered. And this chungus it's huge. It's huge. And then, yeah, the sleeve skeins are these smaller ones here, and they're each like a little over 100 grams. So anyway, I'm swimming with yarn. And now the question becomes, dear viewer, what are we going to make with it? Luckily, I have been very diligently searching Ravelry, because one of my favorite activities is like use a filtered criteria list to look at patterns for things. I think I might have mentioned this on here before at some point, but if I haven't, like some friends will text me and be like, I need a like pattern ideas for a sport weight, like cardigan sweater. And I'm like, great. Like, here are some options. If you want texture, here are some options. I think my cousin Ellen texted me the other day and needed help with like a t-shirt in a DK weight. No, I think it was sport weight. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, if you want texture, here. If you want no texture, here. If you want a little bit of texture, here. If you want oversized, here. If you want, drop shoulder, here. Like, it's just very fun for me. So I had a lot of fun putting together a whole bundle of like possible pattern options. So I want to take you through some of those. And in order to do that, I want to show you my swatch, because of course I swatched with my hand spun yarn. 1, I wanted to see what it was going to look like. 2, I needed to get a sense for gauge, because that's the whole thing. And I wanted to make sure that the fabric was something I was going to be happy with, because obviously you can knit any yarn with any size needle and usually find a way to get gauge on most patterns, but like, do you like that fabric? The only way I'm going to know that from my hand spun yarn that I've never done before is to swatch. Let me show you this. Look. Screaming. Okay. So as you can see, we have, it's a 2-ply yarn. So you can definitely tell that there's like some transition here into more of the blue. And then it does get to like the olive green at the top. I don't know. Is it easier for you to see if I put my hand behind it to block some of the light? I don't know. Here are some options for you. Okay, so this I knit on 3.5mm needles. And I do really like the fabric. Like, I feel like it is not too gapey and open. And I like that, but it's also not so dense that I'm going to, one, have to knit it for a million years, not interested. And two, that it's gonna just make such a dense fabric that it's gonna be more like a jacket than a sweater. Because, okay, the vision, overall the vision is a round neck cardigan sweater that I can wear open face with just like a plain white t-shirt. That is the vision in our minds that we are aspiring to. I am open-minded, right? Like, I'm not so set on this that if someone was like, hey, have you considered X pattern? And it is just gorgeous. And I think that the yarn is really gonna like be featured really well with it. Like, that's what I care most about, not so much the criteria I've already laid out, although that's where I'm starting, if that makes sense. Because I did also consider at one point, I was like, oh, should I consider pullovers? And so I did look at pullovers. I have a Ravelry bundle, and I'm going to show you some of the finds in there. But I do have a Ravelry bundle, and I put some pullovers in there just so that I could like see about it. Like, would I like this? And I don't know. I feel like, okay, like there's no wrong answers, unfortunately, and that makes the decision so hard. But for me, I feel like I want to be able to picture this like in bands down, and then having negative space or having something like break up the loudness of it to really make sure that this is like featured in a wearable way for me. And I just wasn't sure that I would, not that I would wear it no matter what, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I guess like if the pullover, I just felt like having it be all over wasn't really what I was feeling. I really had this strong image in my mind of cardigan, wearing it open, having that like higher round neck so that it was like all over, but then you just have that a strip of like white t-shirt, black t-shirt, gray whatever, neutral colored t-shirt to like seal it together. And that feels very aligned with like the clothes I typically wear. And so, yes, like pitch me pullover in the comments. We can talk about it. I'm still open to that idea. But I gotta say, cardigan is first and foremost. And also what we learned from the swatch is I do not think that this yarn can take any texture. And what I mean by that is I think I just need a plain stockinette sweater. And that was my original vision, to really make sure that this yarn gets highlighted the way it deserves. I think any texture would break it up in a way that I wouldn't be like super happy with. Maybe a rib. I think I have a couple in there that are ribbed. So we'll see if those could handle it. But like, even sort of, you know, like, oh, and then here's like a purl bump section. Like, I don't know, definitely not a cable. I think cables would get eaten up and you wouldn't really see them with this fabric. And I think doing a cable, I don't foresee this being a cabled sweater. I think the colors are also like very summery and very like vibrant. And so and for me in my head, I'm like, cables are for tonal yarn, and cables can be for bright colors. Like you could do a hot pink cable 100%. But in that case, like for me, it would need to be like all over. But again, like pitch me. I'm open. I haven't knit a whole sweater with my hand spun before. So I am open to suggestion. I really am. But I also have a vision because I needed a place to start. That is the longest way that I could have said that. And now we have finally come around to the point. So yes, hold this in your brain as we now go to Ravelry and look at patterns. So what I am showing you on screen is what I'm looking at on my phone. And what I've done is I've taken my bundle, which I've called Tour de Fleece Combo Spin Sweater, and I have now filtered it by everything that is greater than or equal to a 21 stitch gauge, because when I measured the gauge of my swatch, I got 23 stitches per 10 centimeters or 4 inches. I just used the 10 centimeters one on here. And so I was like, okay, reasonably, we could go up to a 4 millimeter needle. I think the fabric would still be just fine. And that would probably get me closer to a, 22 to 21 stitch gauge, especially because I tend to loosen up my gauge a little bit when I'm knitting over the course of a whole project. That's just typically how it's been for me. And again, I don't think any of that would like drastically change the overall effect of the fabric, which is something I'm really happy with the swatch. So we're going to look at things that are greater than or equal to 21 stitch counts. And you can see we have 13 matches. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, the first one is got this like ribbed pattern. And like I said, I think the yarn could do that and it could look really good. Let's take a look and see. Okay, yeah, and so we're looking at a 25 stitch gauge. And again, this swatch is not, like, has no texture in it. So the gauge swatch for this one would involve the knit for purl 1, which would create a denser fabric. And it uses 3.25 millimeter needles. So I think I could just add in the purl 1 and I would hit gauge, and I'm not too worried about I'm never too worried about being like off by 1 stitch, maybe 2 stitches, because I can always like make little tweaks to make sure it fits. Okay, this says 2,000 to 4,500 meters though, and I only have, what did I say we had? I only have 2,077 meters, so probably not for this one, because the smallest size is going to use 2,000 meters. So, so maybe not monolines cardigan, but you're cute. And then I was thinking about pullovers. I was really into this idea of the polo collar. So you'll see that I have like a bunch of them with the like folded collar on here. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't know. I could totally see this looking so good though. See what I mean? I'm like, oh, I want a cardigan and I want it to be like worn open, and then I picked this like Henley neck, whatever. This is 23 stitches and already uses the same needles that I want to use, 3.5 millimeter, which is just convenient that I'm like perfectly hitting gauge. This is by Marika Knit and has 326 projects. So yeah, I think this is a really good option if I do decide to go Henley. I don't know. Y'all, help me. Who am I? What is this project? Okay, Port Cardigan by Ozetta. It's in here, and it's in the mix specifically because my original inspiration was the What I Knit channels, like combo sweater, and she made the Port Cardigan. And so I was like, we got to put it in there. It's a cool cardigan. Again, it's the round neck, button down cardigan. You can definitely wear it open. And it has a 21 stitch gauge on 4.5 millimeter needles. And I probably would have to go up to 4.5 to hit 21 stitches if I'm at 23. Or I could just knit it at 4 and bank on me loosening up my gauge. I don't know. We definitely have more than enough yarn. 878 to 1756 meters, and we have 2,000. So we would definitely have yarn left over, which isn't a bad thing. My goal is to use up as much of this yarn on this project as possible, but like twist my arm, I'll make a matching hat or a cowl or something. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, so I think like this still could be a good option. If I go with this one, I might re-swatch on 4.5 millimeter needles just to like make sure that I really like the fabric, but then I would just rip it out. and save the yarn. Okay, flax sock. This is the one where I was like, oh, could we do some of the like purl bump, garter bump ridges down the side? The thing is with this one is I don't like how wide the neck is. I really like a close neck. So for this one, it is probably a no for me. Why am I just now getting all these messages? Hope you guys can't see that. We'll see. Okay. Next one, classic crew cardigan by Pearl Soho. I'm not going to go super in depth on all of these, but I just wanted to show you what I've been thinking about. This one I like, I think I typically like a thicker collar on my garments. But I mean, right, I like it because it is plain. It's got a 24 stitch gauge on 3.75 millimeter needles. And look at that, we definitely have enough yarn to make my size, which would be somewhere in the middle of the smallest size and the largest size. The Kerr sweater I put on here because I could just knit it plain. And I already own the pattern. And I love Rebecca Clow. And it's a sport weight sweater. So I don't know. Come back again. I put it on here because I like this cardigan. But again, it's got this all over texture that I'm just like, no, I think that my colors would like obscure any texture. So I'm going to move on from that one. Simple sweater. Again, this is a pullover, but it is cute. But okay, I'm gonna move on. Again, if you're seeing something and you're like, you really should have considered that, please let me know in the comments. Like, I need help. I need feedback. I have not decided yet. Okay, once again, we've got a Mareka knit. This is the Charlie cardigan. All right. It's got the folded collar, which I think is so cute. It's got a really big ribbed like bottom hem, and it looks like it's got really big ribbed cuffs also. 23 stitch gauge, so we're right on the money. And I'm already using that needle. Cool. I don't know anything about this designer though, so if you do and you have like yay, nay about this designer, I would love to hear it. I think this could be a really cute option. Okay, classic cardigan. It's a classic for a reason. We got to put it here. Okay. So this one, here's what I like about this one. One, pockets could be fun. Two, it is just like textbook what I was looking for in terms of it is a round neck cardigan. It comes up high. It has a bunch of sizes. Let's see, it's a 22 stitch gauge. It comes in, yeah, so many sizes. And I think I would have enough yarn for my size because it has so many. I really like this version of it. I don't know why I feel like this version is different. I can't describe it, but I like the way that this styling looks. And I think this is sort of the look that I'm going for, right? Like the open with the t-shirt and then jeans, leggings, whatever pants I feel like wearing. And you could put it with a matching hat. Cute. Definitely open to that. And I like that this one has like, it's made for any gauge or like any yarn weight. And then you just kind of match with the gauge that you're getting. So that feels very good. And I have to tell you the truth. This one right here, the Viva cardigan by Lily Kate France, I've been really thinking about this one a lot. Okay. So what I like about this one is it looks like a double knit button band. I like the shoulder detail, just that little bit of it looks like some sort of brioche half fisherman's ribbing something. I think that's a really cool detail. I think that that's just enough texture to be like, ooh, something different in this like saddle shoulder, but not enough to be like, you're going to completely miss this detail because the yarn is just too variegated. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I love the pockets. I like how it looks worn open. This little tank top here. yeah, I think, again, just really basic cardigan, which is what we're looking for because we want to make sure the yarn is the star. It is a 22 stitch gauge, so we're feeling good about that. And we would definitely have enough yarn, even at the largest size. Is this size inclusive? It doesn't look like it is. It looks like it goes up to a 62 inch, but oh, okay. It goes up to a 62 inch bust with how much ease? Tell me how much ease you have. Okay. Oh, it decreases the amount of positive ease as you go up into sizes. I don't know any people who are asking for that. I have heard that the ask is, I want to wear the cardigan that you are wearing with the amount of positive ease that you have. So making the assumption that fat folk want less positive ease in their sizes, I think is not my favorite assumption to make, because I haven't heard that from any like fat creators, designers, things like that. So, I'm watching you, Lily Kate France. But I still did think it was a cute option. Okay, the Reyes cardigan, we're going to scroll right past it because I read the little description of it, and it is like two seam, like the back is then seamed to the two fronts, and I hate that. I don't want to seam. Moving on. And then, okay, this last one, the Chessie, again, it's got little pockets. It's got a folded collar. It's got little saddle something flaps on the shoulder, it looks like. It only has 16 projects, which I'm always like, I don't care. Like, we'll support a smaller designer, but like, I also just want like a sure thing, because like I'm not experienced enough as a knitter to be able to be like, we'll figure it out. We'll do the math, especially with my hand spun where like, it is thick and thin. Like, I just kind of want smooth sailing through the pattern. But it does give you a 23.5 stitch gauge. And, ooh, okay. My yardage, this would be kind of tight on yardage or meterage because I'm at 2,000 and the lower end is 1,800. But I don't know what size I would knit anyway, so I'd have to think about that. But it looks hella cute. And we love Chessie from The Parent Trap. So, and you could do semi-cropped classic or tall, and you can do different size pockets. So, I mean, if I needed to save yarn, I could just do small pockets everywhere, or just one pocket up here and no other pockets. I don't know. Okay, so that is the selection that meets our gauge requirements. And you can see we already like filtered out some of them, which is super helpful. But I desperately need help. I need feedback. I need input to keep moving on, because I don't know where I want to go next. And so any input, even if I'm like ultimately like, oh, I actually don't agree with that, or I don't think that that's as good of a fit, it helps push me forward towards a decision. I'm ultimately not going to be casting this on anytime soon because I already have a cardigan on my needles and it is languishing there because I have joined it like under the arm. And so I'm just knitting back and forth forever, but it is a sport weight yarn held with a mohair, and it is a denser fabric. And so like, it just feels like a blanket that's sitting on me. And in the summer, I don't want that, especially because I'm usually already like having a blanket on my lap just for comfort. 2 blankets, too many blankets. So anyway, so yeah, I need to get that off the needles. We're working towards it in the abstract, but not anything like physical right now. Yeah, so this is my biggest update for you. Like I said, please, please, please weigh in the comments. Oh, I liked this one. I didn't like this one. If you've knit any of these before, or you've knit any of these designers before, I would love feedback, because I want to make something fucking cool, And I know like what gets hard for me about making a decision is it's like, there's no wrong answer, right? It's just whatever you want. And sometimes it's hard for me in that space to make a decision because they all feel too the same, and I can't rule any out or move myself towards an answer that is actionable for me. It's not so much about a concern about like getting it right or like trying to like get it perfect. It's just literally my brain breaks down at that point of like, well, there's no wrong answers. I've already used criteria that I have available to narrow it down, and now I still have, I think we kicked out like 3 of them, so we still have 10 options, right? So help. Okay, but I also want to show you some of the other things I've been working on because like I said, I was knitting throughout Tour de Fleece because like I can't always bring my wheel, but I could always bring a project. I was in the car for a while for part of Tour de Fleece and just like had other like a doctor's appointment here and there, whatever, where I needed something in my hands. So I want to show you what I've been making since Tour de Fleece ended and kind of through that time. First and foremost, here's my stack of hats. I'm going to go through these really quickly because it's a stack of hats. I've been making a lot of hats. I'm going to fold this brim. I have 2 classic ribbed hats by Purl Soho. This one is with the leftover yarn from my inch sweater, which I told you all that I was knitting as a buddy knit with Ellen. That is still true. I finally finished mine and don't have it to show you right now. But I had extra yarn, so I made one of these. And then this one is just in like Kelborn Woolen Scout. Okay, classic ribbed hats. This one is the Harlow Flip Hat by Andrea Mowry. It is made with Cascade 220 and the Spin Cycles Petrichor color. It's very good. This one is the Leaf Hat by Usolda. It has a triple folded brim, which is cool. So like you knit it and then seam it down and then still fold it again. And this is in Kelborn Woolen Scout. We love it. And then this one is the Antler Toque by Tin Can Knits, I think, right? Why am I doubting that? Who made that? If only there was a device where I could look up my literal projects right here before you. Yeah, Tin Can Knits. I was right. Why doubt myself? And it's made out of my hand spun. This is Yarn Jam Olive Branch, and it's 100% Shanico. It matches this guy right here. This one's just sport weight, and this one's worsted weight. It hasn't been blocked yet. A lot of these have not been blocked, ends have not been woven in, but yeah. So I've been making a shit ton of hats. Love hats right now because they go fast, they are easy to port around, and they don't touch me too much and I don't get too hot. Let me show you something else I made. I made this. It is the bandana cowl by Purl Soho. It takes like worsted Aran weight yarn. And this is my literal hand spun yarn, y'all. This is a braid from Little Fiber Co. in the colorway La Vie Bohème. So the Bohemian Life, I believe. My French is piss poor, but it is my literal hand spun. I chain plied it, so it's a 3-ply, and the colorway, like the color chunks stayed together, so I got this really cool striping effect. Obsession level, unreal. I am so proud of this. I think it looks so good. And it's in Targi, which is just, it's so soft and so like springy and lovely. And yeah, I could wax poetic about this fucking little cowl thing for 25 more minutes at least. But needless to say, I'm proud of it. I think it's really fucking cool. I'm really excited to wear it. The last finished thing I have to show you is this skein of yarn. Okay, so this was a set of 3 2-ounce braids from, I can do this, the power of my mind, Treehouse Knits. And it was a like special drop dedicated to Noah Khan. And so this one was like a stick season inspired yarn that came in. Like I said, it was like 3 2-ounce braids that all go together. I will put pictures here so you can see like what the braids looked like, and then what my bobbins looked like, because I spun these as like 1 2-ounce braid, 1 2-ounce braid, 1 2-ounce braid, and then plied them together. So this is a 3-ply yarn, and you can see that it's 2 tonals and 1 variegated. So you can see like any color differences you're seeing is that 1 variegated single doing a lot of work. I have not wet set this yet, y'all, so it looks a little crusty. But this is Cormo wool. It is a sport weight yarn, and we are looking at 176 grams and 582 meters, or 432.5. Did I say 582 yards, 532.5 meters. And it is just, it's absolutely, I'm going to unwrap this for you so you can see, like, ooh, get a little closer to the yarn and like the different colors. It looks so cool. And I like had to spin so thin to get 3 plies of a sport weight yarn. I wasn't sure what what weight I was going to come out with. I just wanted to like try to spin it thinner so I didn't walk away with like a super bulky weight yarn, just because that's not as usable for me with my making. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I don't care. It wasn't about that. It was about making this cool ass yarn out of this cool ass collection, celebrating an artist that I really, really like. So yeah, that's my other hand spun finished object. Dum da dum. And I'm very pleased with that as well. Lots of fun yarn. I have to, once I wash it, I'll probably put it up here just because I like it that much. So yeah, that's all like the things I've finished lately. I've been producing, okay, but also it's been months since I've checked in about it. So this is a result of an accumulation of things. If I was like doing an update every week, absolutely not. You'd see like 15 WIPs and then they all just sort of like end at the same time for some reason. Speaking of WIPs, let me show you 2 WIPs that I'm working on right now. Ooh, embarrassing. Both of which are by Rebecca Clow, because I love that designer a lot. And that's not a surprise to anyone here. If you've been around, you know. Okay, so this is the Millsy pattern. Let me put a picture for you here so that you don't have to just look at mine and be like, I know what that is, because can you tell? I don't know. I just finished the body yesterday. Again, not blocked. So I just bound off on the body with the ribbing. This pattern is cool because it gives you options. First of all, Rebecca Clow gives an option, and I love her for that. And you can do like a rolled sleeve, hem, and like button band, or you can do like ribbed, all of those. Or you can do a mixture, and I'm doing a mixture. So I'm doing ribbed bottom hem, and then first of all, also the V-neck option. And then also I'm going to do rolled sleeves and button band. And I'm knitting this in Sandusgarn Lena in the colorway, what are you called? Raspberry Cream. And I'm really happy with it. It's a summer knit. It's going to be so cute, and I'm going to hopefully pick up some buttons for it at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool in a couple of weeks, in like a month. We're so close to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, and I'm so excited. Okay, that'll be the next video. Don't you worry. But yeah, I'm really liking how this is fitting. And I think it's going to be really cool once I can like put the button band on so you could actually see it sit open. Right now it just wants to curl in on itself. I knit the body a centimeter longer than was called for in the pattern, just because Rebecca Clow loves a crop. And I also don't mind a cropped fit. I'm wearing a cropped shirt right now. But my crop preferences are just a little bit longer than Rebecca's. So I did that. That was the only modification I made to the pattern, though. I got to knit this just exactly to pattern, which has been a delight. But okay, I'll also say I was knitting this, and then like, right, you like join under the arms, and then you're knitting back and forth flat for forever. And like, that's just what it is when you're knitting a cardigan. And I was knitting this, and then I was staring at my orange cardigan and being like, you're a blanket and I can't acknowledge you right now. But I was also just like, oh man, when I do my hand spun sweater, like this is what I'm in for, unless I do a pullover. I could steek, but I don't want to steek with my hand spun because I've never steeked before. And I know everyone is like, we're proud, we're steekers, and we like can do it. And I know we can. I just don't want to start doing that with my hand spun, because if it goes wrong, I will cry. I will weep. And it will be sad. And everyone will be sad because I'm sad. Anyway, I was just like, yeah, we're going to be here forever. And I made it to the end, and I felt so accomplished. And now something that I think about a lot when I'm knitting and when I'm getting in that like we're going to be here forever slog is just thinking about like what point I'm at, whatever point I'm at. So like when I was knitting on this like joined panel thing under the arms, it's like, this is the most amount of stitches I'm ever going to have on my needles at one time for this whole project. And once I'm done with this, it's all smooth sailing from here, because the construction was like, right, make a little bit of this back panel, make a little bit of this back panel, join them together, like make a little bit of this front, make a little bit of this front, work it all the way down. And so it was like small amounts of stitches at once. And then you get to the big and you're like, I will die here. And then you're like, okay, wait, this is the most amount of stitches I'm ever going to have on my needles at once. I can push through this. I can get there. And then the rest is fewer stitches. I think about that a lot, especially with raglans. When I'm doing a raglan and I'm like, there's like 500 million stitches on here. I'm like, this is the most amount of stitches I'll ever have on my needles at once. We will persevere. And then once we split for sleeves, baby, it's cruising. Anyway, so that's that. I'm almost done with it. I just need to do the button band and do the sleeveys. And they're rolled. They're going to be rolled. So it's for the sleeves, it's really easy because it's just knit around and then bind off. The button band will be harder because it's going to be knits and purls flats. And then I also have to like do buttonholes, and I don't have the buttons yet. So I can't finish it until I come back from Wisconsin sheeping wool, hopefully with buttons. But we're moving forward, and this is huge. And then, dear viewer, my cousin Ellen, High Altitude Knits on Instagram, gifted me some Kelborn Woolens Scout, because I love that yarn. You can see that I've mentioned it several times in this podcast already. And she does not like it. It does not agree with her gauge. She doesn't really like the fabric. She doesn't really love a 2-ply yarn, whereas I'm like, 2-ply yarn all day, anytime, anywhere. I love a 2-ply yarn. And so I asked Cam what they wanted me to make them with this gifted yarn, because it is just a light gray. And although I am wearing literally right now a light gray, this is like the only gray in my whole wardrobe. I don't really like gray. I don't gravitate towards it. And I certainly would not want a whole sweater for myself in gray. I don't have any gray sweaters at all, and I don't intend to change that. But Cam loves gray, and specifically light gray. So obviously it was a sweater's quantity. And so I was like, what do you want? And I really liked making my stick season sweater. And so I thought, oh, I can make you a stick season sweater if you'd want that, because they really like texture in their knits. Like they really gravitate towards like brioche, ribbing, half fisherman's rib. These are examples of texture. You know this. Cables. They get really excited about cables. And so I was like, okay, great, stick season. Well, we swatched, because I was like, I need to know how this yarn is going to handle this texture. And actually in this lighting, it looks a lot better than it did when we were looking at it. But we just didn't feel like the yarn really made the texture stand out enough. And when I'm looking at it like up close, it looks to me a bit sloppier. I don't know how to show you this in a way that like will make sense to you. So maybe you just have to take my word for it. oh, see, I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, that looks fine. Anyway, we didn't like it. We didn't like it with the texture. We liked the plain stockinette better. So I'm making another stickless stick season for them. Mine was a stickless stick season, and now theirs is too. One day, I will make one with the texture and just let it be. I don't know. I think I needed a slightly denser yarn to really make that texture pop when like looking at it from like this distance in person. Take my word for it. And even if you don't agree, it's what I did. So let me show you where we're at with this. Okay. We have to get oriented here. It's in pieces. This is the back panel. We did the back panel. Normally the back panel would be beautifully textured with the stick season texture. Again, we're doing stickless, so no sticks. And then I finished the little like shoulder front of this side. And then I just finished the shoulder front of this side yesterday. So we're ready to join the fronts together. That's the next step in the pattern. And then you keep, this is so cumbersome. You keep knitting the fronts until they're the same length as the back. You put on some like arm decreases, I think, increases. That makes sense. Armhole shaping. And then you make the armholes join in the round and keep going in a circle forever. So that'll be great. Really excited to join in the round and just have stockinette forever because that's the kind of mood I'm in right now. But yes, this is the stickless stick season that I'm making for Cam. I really like this pattern for a bunch of reasons. One, the construction is really fun. Even without the texture, it's still really engaging. And I really, really like this like ribbed situation here of like you have knit stitches on each side and then like a purl ridge in the middle. I think it's really cool. It runs like over the shoulder, splits around the arm, and then runs down the side of the sweater. And I think that that just looks really cool. And I think this yarn really shows that off. Mine was a variegated yarn, which is why I chose to do it without the texture. And you still see that detail for sure, and it still looks really cool, but obviously like it's going to sing a little bit louder with a solid color yarn. So yeah, working on that. We'll see where that takes us. Yeah, as always, I've got a lot going on, and just because I'm working on this in this episode, you may not see it for a while because I'm not working on it, but as I continue to update you, I will keep you posted. Well, we've done a lot of good work here today. I'm really proud of us and all that we've achieved. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me. I really appreciate y'all hanging out and letting me show and tell you all about the things that I've been spinning and knitting and planning to knit. And yeah, if you have any like thoughts on things you liked, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And until we meet again, I wish you well with your making, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, bye.